Alright, so just gonna make sure that neither I nor the camera is gonna drop into the water, and we're good. Got a beautiful scene over here. There's a very small river, it's very shallow, but it has a beautiful curvature around here. And I'm sitting right at the corner where I can look into this curvature. And I have quite a few yellow, orange, maybe a little bit brownish autumn leaves arcing over the river, kind of framing it. I have two trees in my image. One is very close to me and it's kind of prominent. I've just put it very far on the left hand side, so at the corner of my frame it just kind of acts as an anchor to my image, just kind of making it like a hard cut. And then on the right hand side, it's not as close to the corner of my frame or like to the edge, a little bit more included just because it's further away, therefore smaller in the image, just to have some balance. And in between these two trees, there's my river flowing kind of like as a leading line. In the foreground, I have a lot of leaves which just help with the scene. They help translate the feeling of autumn and just really give you the mood and the atmosphere of this image. It's a very simple scene, not too dramatic, but I quite like it. I like it for its simplicity. So I'll take the shot over here, single exposure, half a second, f11, ISO 100, and there we go. What's really great about these peak autumn conditions is that they change so quickly. So you can go to one location one day, to another location the next day, and within a week you can go back to the first location and it's going to be completely different just because all of the colors have changed so quickly. It's almost like a completely new landscape. That's so amazing because every week you get something completely new. If you enjoyed the video so far, subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. Thank you for the support. Alright, so this is quite an abstract shot and I'm not yet quite convinced if this is going to turn out the way that I'm hoping for. What exactly makes this shot so abstract? I'm shooting a group of birch trees and all of them are standing in a group quite close together, and I'm using that as a shape or like as a pattern to create interest. Apart from one, all of them are growing very straight up. So I'm zooming in very narrowly on that and just focusing on that. And then in the background I have all these orange from all the autumn leaves. And this just gives so much contrast between the very bright and white birch trees, and then in the background you have this very mushy, saturated orange autumn colors, and that caught my attention, so I thought I might as well try. To give this image a little bit of an edge, I'm exposing quite brightly because I really want the white stems and the autumn colors to have a little bit of a punch. So just by exposing brightly, you're going to focus more on these and it just amplifies what is already there. This is a bright scene. I'm going to expose brightly to amplify that even more. So this image is very much about the structure, the pattern of the trees, and then this almost painterly looking color of like orange and red and yellowish in the background. Quite like that one, if it's going to work out the way that I'm hoping for. Two more things I want to mention. I'm not using a polarizer because, as I've just mentioned, I'm going for a very bright scene, kind of like this high key look. And I think taking away the glare and maybe adding some more mood and some more saturation to this image, I think it would just take away from what I'm trying to create. And obviously I've shot this as a vertical just because I wanted to go with the flow of the trees. That was just like the natural thing to do. Yeah, but just because I wanted to try out, I'm also trying a horizontal one for now. If you're interested in landscape photography and you want to learn more about how to capture these images, I have a course available. It's the first link in the description, and I teach you everything you need to know about landscape photography. Being out in the field, settings of your camera, tips and tricks, and also post-processing. For example, on how to process autumn colors. Might be interested in that, check it out. I have also released 2 new collections of prints. The first one is about seascape and coastline, the second one about woodland, and the third one is a seasonal one. So for now it's going to be about autumn. I'm really happy with these, definitely give it a look. One piece of advice that I always like to give, especially in these conditions, and if you are going for more of an abstract shot, as I've done with the last one, it's always a good advice to keep your camera close to your body, because it's going to be often that you see a shot where you're not quite sure, you're considering it, and then if your camera is in the backpack, you're not going to bother. So having your camera close to the body, framing it up, having a look. Because from my experience, it's often the case that an abstract shot might only work on the back of the camera, but not instantly in your eyesight. So that might be worth something. Alright, so talking about more abstract shots, here we are. So for this image, I'm photographing 4 trees. What has caught my attention is that even though they are standing quite close together, so the first one on the right hand side is still in a lot of leaves, a lot of color, but mostly like green, a little bit towards yellow. The second one is probably pine tree. The third one looks very darkish and it only has a couple of leaves on the top. And the fourth one on the far left only has a couple of brown leaves left. Apart from that, it just looks dead. And all of these trees standing in a row right next to each other just looks completely surreal. It's almost like 4 trees in 4 different seasons, so like summer, autumn, winter and spring, but like in one image right next to each other. So I have 2 options now. The first one is to go close in onto the trees and really focus on what I've just described. The second one would be to include the street as a leading line and just have the trees kind of like as a main interest, but also like the street as a side interest or like a secondary interest. For now, I've decided to just punch in on the trees. I think they alone make up enough interest. I don't necessarily need a street. I might try it, but I'm also like cutting off the trees. I really want you to focus on what I've just described of like these completely different types, but all of them close together. And then we have some autumn colors in the background. It's just beautiful. I just switched lenses because I wanted to try a more wide angle shot and include the street and give you more of the trees in a single frame, but I don't think it quite works. It works better on the trees, definitely, but it includes quite a lot of sky and this is just very bright and distracting. Not quite sure. I think the first image punched in is going to work better than this one, but I'm just going to show you both so you can decide for yourself, have a look, and maybe learn a thing or 2. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, like, share, subscribe. If you want to see more of my videos, I have an on location playlist in the description with a couple more cool autumn videos. Apart from that, thank you for the support and see you in the next one. Bye.